2357 BC, 1538 AM. According to Chinese traditional history in the Book of Myriad Things, the Emperor Yao ascended to the throne in this year, some antiquarians claiming that this begins the historical period for ancient China. This date is only 2 years off from the 120-year warning given to Noah in 2359 BC, and further, the title Yao is akin to the ancient Semitic name for God, Yah-Jah. Noah in the Sumerian records was a king of the city of Shuruppak, and what strongly links this Yao to a Chinese Noah is that in the reign of Yao there occurred a terrible flood. 1. Feats and wisdom of the ancients. 2. The antediluvian world. 2349 BC, 1546 AM. The sixth king of the Nephilim dynasty is Enmendurana, who would reign 21,000 shahs, evenings and mornings, or 58 years, 120 days. This ends the Larak dynasty that lasted 80 years and begins the Sipar dynasty. Sipar is a metropolis and centre of learning and science, housing a famous pre-flood library that the later Sumerians after the flood would excavate. It is from these records that Noah retrieves the writings he is instructed to preserve. This is 490 years, 70 by 7, since the founding of the Anunnaki dynasty in 2839 BC, an 870-year period since the Anunnaki matriarch began to rule the Cainites in 2909 BC. This is the 480th year of the 7 kings of Sumer, who began to rule in 2829 BC, the Nephilim dynasty. 2341 BC, 1554 AM. Noah married the daughter of Enoch, the prophet emperor. Her name is Naamah, and she was 580 years old. She is stunningly beautiful and destined to be the oldest living person on earth after the flood, she being 82 years Noah's senior. Before the flood, Naamah was chosen because she was the daughter of Enoch, being perfect in her generations. But after the flood, Naamah would become infamous. Noah and Naamah's unions marked the beginning of the end for the Nephilim dynasty offspring of the Anunnaki, and this is reflected in the Anunnaki chronology, the year being 2898 or 414 times 7, 7 cursed periods. Further, the Vedic calendar, also an Anunnaki timeline, has this as 762, the number for dynastic change. In this year, the human family has its origin through the Noahic and Enochian lines, both of Sethite ancestry, purely Adamic. Noah is 498 years old, 1 Jasher. 2339 BC, 1556 AM. Naamah gives birth to Japheth, the firstborn son of Noah, 100 years before the flood. After Noah's death after the flood, Japheth will be the oldest male on earth. The ancient Indo-Aryan peoples remembered Japheth as Prajapati and Iapetus, the origin for the Roman god Jupiter. Old Arabic traditions hold that the sexual maturity for a female before the deluge was approximately at 200 years. The world before the flood is fully detailed in Descent of the Seven Kings. The biospheric conditions on Earth before the collapse of the marine water canopy in the sky, firmament above, that caused the flood were very different, and human longevity was not abbreviated as it is today. During those pristine conditions, according to many ancient chroniclers, Josephus among them, life was lived in the centuries, not decades. Before the flood, people aged but did not physically grow any older in appearance. Once a man reached maturity, he remained physically in that form until death. The wrinkles of the skin and greying hair of the elderly then was not known to the ancients. This year was the 476th year since the Great Pyramid was complete. As will be seen throughout this research, the number 476 is found over and over throughout the duration of all timelines, dealing with the descendants of Japheth, even after the Semitic lines from Shem merged with the lineage. This number signifies a change in government. This is the 490th year, 70 times 7, of the Nephilim dynasty founded in 2829 BC. This is the 90th year of the reign of Enmendurana, or 1080 months. 1 Genesis. Jasher. 2. Tales of the Prophets. 2338 BC, 1557 AM. Naamah gives birth to Ham 99 years before the flood, Noah's second son. He will be remembered in antiquity as Chem, Chemis, Ammon, Hama, Hammon, Anom, Anan, and He is the patriarch of the Hamitic line, peoples that populate Egypt, Africa, and Australia, as well as parts of India and Cambodia and Central America, known anciently as the Olmec. 1 Jasher. 2337 BC, 1558 AM. Naamah gives birth to Shem 98 years before the flood, Noah's third son. Shem is the 11th in descent of the 10 patriarchs of the Adamic lineage through Seth, these being the unpolluted generations not contaminated with Cainite or Nephilim influence. Shem would be the patriarch of the Semitic branches of humanity that would preserve the scarlet thread, holy bloodline, through Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the 13 tribes of Israel who would merge with the Japhetic lines and become major nations and empires. This is 776, the Mayan calendar, the number 776 throughout history, exhibiting the union between Japhetic and Shemitic people as prophesied by Noah in Genesis. 1 Jasher Genesis.